Hi guys, Kaiser here, and welcome to an Age of Empires 3 online multiplayer ranked game. In my last video, or I guess the video before the last video, I introduced Age of Empires 3, shared my love of the game, talked about how neat it is, how different it is from Age of Empires 2, but, that was just a skirmish match. Now it's time to actually share some ladder experience. So, this is going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to sharing this game with you for a couple of reasons. But first, let me go ahead and set the stage and explain that I am not the best at this game by any means. In Age of Empires 2, I clock in at around 1150 elo, and that's with random civs. I think if I picked civilizations, I'd be up at least to 1200. I would consider myself pretty good at Age of Empires 2, all things considered. A little bit above average, at least. Age of Empires 3? No, I'm not there yet. I'm still learning a lot about the game. Like I said in my last video, there are so many moving pieces to kind of get your head around. It's exciting. I love learning new strategy games. So, learning Age of Empires 3, it's been an absolute blast. If you're looking for a video on how to most optimally play different civilizations, this series, at least so far, is not going to be for you. This is just me sharing my adventures and kind of sharing, somewhat like in the Average Age Plays or the Noob Cup series back in Age of Empires 2, this is me more, opening the door to the more casual side of the ranked ladder, or the more everyman side. So, I'm just having fun playing the game and sharing my experiences and, getting better at the game. And I'm inviting you to come along and witness and watch as, I explore the game and get better at it. So, this is a really, really fun matchup. I'm glad I was able to play it and get to share it with you. So, we have myself in the blue playing as the British, and my opponent in the red, Galug 1 or Galugi? I'm going to call him Galugi. I think that's a little easier. I've got Galugi in the red playing as the French. Classic matchup. I'm actually really excited about this matchup. I picked the British on purpose for the start of this series because I figured if you're going to learn Age of Empires, the British or the French, at the very least, the European civilizations, but I'd say the British and the French are really solid choices, are the closest thing in the game to kind of a vanilla, straightforward base experience, right? So, starting off with the British, I think it's a really good choice. And I happen to be up against the French, another classic vanilla tutorial sort of civilization, classic rivalry, classic matchup. Let's go ahead and review real quick. I've been doing some talking, introducing the series. Let's talk about our opening moves. The British, and, even with the British, right, as I said, they are a kind of a tutorial civ, but even the British have some unique quirks and, skills, unique traits, right? The big one that's going to be a focus for us is that they have not just regular houses, but manor houses. And what these manors do, they cost a little more than regular houses. They work like regular houses. They support 10 population. But whenever you build a manor house, you also spawn a villager. And so what we could do, every time we build a house, we get an extra bonus villager. And so as we build more and more houses, we get more and more villagers, and we can use that, we can leverage that ability to develop a solid economic lead on our opponent. So, here's what we've got. We opened up, we got our town center, and you see I've got most of my villas focusing on food to get up to the next age. I've got a couple of villagers on wood in order to afford more houses, and also to build an early trading post. I happen to have a trading post right in my base, and these trading posts are the premier way of gathering experience, and therefore shipments, and therefore getting an early lead over my opponent, right? You saw that, if we pull up the list here, I did get one shipment already, and I used that to send the 3 settlers card. That's pretty standard. I think for most civilizations that have this card, you want to start the game with the 3 settlers card, or any kind of settler card is a really good bonus because it helps kickstart your economy. right? I also have a shipment came in, and any second now, I'm going to get the Virginia Company card. And what that does is it reduces the cost of your manor houses. So normally, regular houses cost 100 wood. Manor houses cost 150 wood. And once the shipment comes in, manor houses will decrease in cost down to 95 wood. I think it's 95. So it's actually cheaper now to build a manor house than it is to build a regular house, thanks to that shipment. So that's a really, really awesome card, and we're going to take advantage of it. My opponent, Galugi, is the French. The French have some neat bonuses and features. I think the main one that I'll focus on for this video is that they have access to the Creux de Bois. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And the Creux de Bois is, he's a kind of a special villager. He is healthier than a normal villager, so he's got more hit points, he's got more attack damage, and he collects resources 25% faster. So, if you were to take a look, you know, right now I've got 21 vills, and he's got 15 villagers. So I definitely have an economic advantage. But you have to factor in that additional 25. His villagers are 25% more effective than mine are, right? So if he has 16 villagers, then his 16 vills are worth my 20 vills, right? So I would say I still have an economic lead at the start here, but it's not nearly as strong as the numbers might initially suggest. I did something really mean to him earlier. I didn't have the camera on, but Galugi was working on a treasure camp. He was attacking a treasure guardian, and as he was working on the guardian, I happened to notice, and so I just slipped my explorer on by and took the treasure from him as soon as he killed the guardian. It was really cutthroat, but that's Age of Empires 3 for you. Now, one of the reasons I was really excited to share this particular match is Galugi inadvertently demonstrates, I think, one of the big differences between Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 3. And that is, you know, he's taking an Age of Empires 2 approach in that he is walling up his base rather quickly, and he's going to try to kind of boom behind his walls, which is very typical of how you would play in Age of Empires 2. If you do some kind of fast castle, you wall up, you get farms up as quickly as possible, you mine your gold, you work on your wood lines, and you know, boom behind that to get up knights or something, right? Well, there are times and opportunities to do that in Age of Empires 3. I would not say, to my understanding, again, as a noob, to my understanding, it's not... There are times and places to do this, but it is not as often that is the right strategy in Age of Empires 3 as it is in Age of Empires 2. And for that matter, you know, what Galugi's doing here is he's using up a lot of key resources early on to get these walls up. So it will help him if I try to go for some kind of, you know, cavalry raid. But, you know, it comes with a cost. In strategy games, there are always opportunity costs. You put your time, attention, your resources, your units into one thing, it means you can't use them somewhere else. So, he's taking kind of this walled-in approach. I am going for a much more open, boomy approach. We both have hit Age 2, the Commerce Age, right? And we both actually went for the exact same politician. So, we went for the 200 gold and the free outpost, right? And we both have a similar strategic sense on this front. It's a really great politician to choose. You take advantage of the gold, of course, and then you send your outpost toward the middle of the base, and you set it up there as kind of a forward operating base, a FOB, as Hiram would call it. And you can use that, if nothing else, you use it as a staging ground, but you can use it as a way to kind of scout out that part of the map. And he can't send an army from his base straight into yours this way without you at least seeing it, right? Fortunately, I am very fortunate, because my explorer was taking some damage from the outpost. But the outpost itself, the trading post itself, is outside of the range of the outpost, the enemy outpost. So we're fine here. And that means I have access to 2 trading posts. So experience will be flowing in. Now, what I do not realize, if I were to turn Fog of War on. Let me see. I don't know that he has access to both of these native camps, right? So the French are allied with the Sudanese. And in fact, let me see if he's working on it right now. Yeah, in fact, he is pumping out Sudanese dervishes, the native camp unique unit, to try to raid me. Good for him. All right. And at this point, he's almost fully walled up, right? Which is a definitely a good bonus for him. I mean, that means I can't get into his eco. Meanwhile, let's take a look. He's got 21 vills, which if I were to 25% difference means an extra 5 vills in this case. So let's give him like 26 vills to my 38. So part of that again is just that British bonus of the manor houses. I've got, let me see, how many houses do I have? I've got 5. So subtract that down. That would be down to like 33 vills otherwise. So that's a big part of it. But then the other part, too, is just staying on my eco and focusing on pure economy, right? Okay, now again, I don't see this at the time, but we have 10 dervishes on their way. So at this point, all right, I've got 39 bills when the raid starts. These dervishes, by the way, let's take a look at them. They are a fast infantry which tosses knives, good against heavy infantry. So musketeers, pikemen, swordsmen, anything like that. All right, I have pulled my guys, my villagers, into the town center, and I've spawned militiamen. Now, almost every civilization in the game has some version of the militiamen. It's a one-time power that you have in the town center. You spawn some quick units to defend your base, right? But the militiamen, you can't use them on offense because as soon as they're created, they slowly lose health. So I'm using the militiamen just to scare away the dervishes, and Galugi, I think he's playing this smart. He is pulling back and waiting for my militiamen to run out of health, and then I'll just pick up the attack again. The good news is, I had shipments, and I've got longbowmen coming in to help clear up this attack. So it's not going to be just the militiamen.
Ready.
Alright. Back at home, let's see. He is... Alright, he's got his eco going. And I think this is one area where Galugi's doing what would be a classic, typical Age of Empires 2 thing. Get on those berries and take advantage of the berries, right? That's how it works in Age of Empires 2. Well, that's not how it works in Age of Empires 3. In Age of Empires 3, it is all about the wildlife, the game. And let me go ahead and focus on the combat here for a second. These militiamen will go down very quickly. They have no health, right? Longbowmen, on the other hand, we got a combination of crossbowmen and the dervishes. Now, the dervishes are not designed to deal with light infantry, which longbowmen are. So the longbowmen will absolutely slaughter the dervishes. So the real question becomes my 9 longbowmen versus his 8 crossbowmen.
Yes.
And ultimately, that is a fight that the longbowmen should win. Yep. There it is. All right.
Ready.
6 longbowmen remaining. wiped out that early raiding force, I am feeling pretty confident at this point. Because I know that my economy is doing well. I don't know if it's, you know, how well he's doing per se, but I know my eco is doing well. I know that he put a lot of resources, and look, he's raiding again. Good for him. I think he shut down my TC for a little bit. I got some idle TC time, and he killed a couple of ills. So it's not that that attack was completely useless, but he put a lot of resources into that raid. And, you know, I was able to push it back fairly cost effectively. So I'm feeling pretty good. I sent another shipment. Got 2 falconets on the way. Let me take a look here. Yeah, I've sent both of these. I sent both of my villager cards in Age 2. I sent the longbowman card. And I have not sent the musketeer card yet. Anyway, real quick, let me jump to this point. This is one of those Age of Empires 2 differences. Don't get on your berries right away. And don't get on farms right away either. Food collects much, much faster from wildlife, cattle, and wild game, right? So in this case, what he needed to do is actually send his Coureur de Bois out, capture, you know, to take advantage of these drafts and the deer and that kind of thing. Gather the food that way, you collect it much faster. And then once you've run out of safe wildlife, then you collect the berries, and then you build farms. But you should do it in that order, right? All right, now, he is attacking my falconets with his dervishes. And this demonstrates an important point. I did mention in my introducing AoE3 video that artillery do beat infantry. But, especially when you have small numbers of artillery like this, you should have a front line. You need a front line to kind of protect them. And so I've got the longbows, you know, working away, but these falconets won't... They'll do some serious damage, but they're not going to survive against the, whatever that was, like 15 dervishes, right? That's the bad news. The good news is, this is a worthy trade, I think. Galugi throws away all of these dervishes. They're all taken off the board in order to get those falconets. Boom. So I still have up 6 longbowmen. And I just sent my musketeer card to the outpost. The cool thing, the other thing about an outpost in the middle of the map that's cool, is you can set outposts to be the military spawn point. The spawn point for your military shipments, right? So, you know, send the musketeers, and they can spawn right here in the middle of the map instead of back at base having to walk all the way, right? I'm not trying to end the game here, but I figure, hey, let's go ahead and you know, put some pressure on. I feel like I've got an advantage. I want to try to take advantage. I want to try to take advantage of the advantage that I may have by putting pressure on my opponent and just getting in his head a little bit. So at this point, yeah, he's got 36 vills, but if you were to give him an additional 25%, right, he'd be at 45. So our eco would actually be pretty much even at this point. The big difference is I'm already in the 3rd age, this fortress age. And he's still in the commerce age, so he's still got to tech up. He has put a lot into wood. Between the walls, the stables, the outposts. So he's, well, that one was free. But you're gonna see he's gonna put down. He's got 2 outposts back here. He's gonna put another one right here in the corner. Let me demonstrate what I mean about food, by the way. You can actually click on a villager while he's working, and you can see his gather rate. So the Coureur de Bois here is collecting 0.91 food per second. Whereas my guys here are collecting 1.9 food per second. And that's, again, including that 25% faster Coureur de Bois bonus, right? So, it's really not... If this were a regular villager, in other words, this would be even slower. So I think it's a mistake. It does fit in with this strategy, though, at least, of walling in and Okay, here we go. This is big. I got more falconets out. I bought these. Train them. He's got Hussar. You know, he's trying to respond with Hussar, but I have Musketeers out. And Musketeers have a good ranged attack, you know, solid all-around attack. But then, if they get into a hand-to-hand fight, they do 3 times the damage to cavalry. So, the Musketeers make for an amazing front line for artillery if you're being attacked by cav. And when I saw, you know, he had up 3 stables, and I took 2 of them down, right? So I see that he wants to go heavy into knights, and as soon as I saw that, I realized back at home, like, hey, I need to start producing Musketeers. So you are going to see me focus in on Musketeers, leveraging my strong economy. Here comes some more muskets. I've got a couple of Hussar in, doing some raiding. I don't know that they were super effective. Again, Coureurs de Bois are stronger villagers than normal. So they weren't the most effective. You've got, what is this, like, yeah, 25, 23 Coureurs versus it was like 4-3 Hussar. So, yeah, they went down pretty quick. But they still got a couple of kills, and again, because Coureurs de Bois are more effective, you know, per unit, their losses are more impactful per unit too. Yeah, this is really solid. So I'm feeling really good about where I'm at right now. Musketeers are doing their job. Falconets, they're more effective against infantry than buildings, but they're not half bad against buildings. And they do outrange things like outposts, so I'm liking it. Here we go. More Musketeers. Keep them coming. Start building that mass. Now, I do know, I did know at this point, of course, because I got raided by them. I know that he has access to at least one of the native camps, right? In fact, the fact that my falconets earlier kind of got attacked from the north and the south suggested to me that he had them both. So, I could have, you know, gone down and destroyed these camps, and maybe that would have been a good choice. But I thought that there was really no threat from them as long as I kept the pressure on his base. I do make a little bit of a mistake here. I wish my Musketeers were positioned in front of the guns. So my falconets go down. They are sacrificed for the cause. But, on the other hand, you know, in order to destroy those falconets, Galugi had to use his entire, you know, Hussar group there. So he keeps scrambling up just enough of an army to push back some of the artillery. And then he's back to square one. And meanwhile, my mass is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Barracks are coming up. Poor Galuga here. And here we go. There's that outpost I was telling you about. So, well, I guess I destroyed one earlier. Yeah, he had one earlier. I destroyed that. Now he's trying to rebuild it. These things cost a lot of wood. He is using up lots and lots of wood. And I think that highlights one of the big differences, or one of the things I'm learning about Age of Empires 3 is the game is much more about mobility and about having a standing army. Outposts can be really useful, particularly, you saw I built one over here, and I think I built one down here too. They're great for defending villagers, you know, serving as a good garrison point. They are useful for stopping raids in their tracks, but they aren't a replacement for an honest-to-goodness army. And I think that's really, you know, hampering Galugi here, right? Outposts come up. I'm pulling my musketeers back. And you can see, you hear that clicking noise. That's Galugi desperately trying to build more crossbowmen. He sees the musketeers and he realizes I need some sort of anti-infantry response. I can't go, all cavalry. The French have very good cavalry in Age of Empires 3, just like in Age of Empires 2. So he wants to go cav, and you'll see he's got Hussar. He wants to build more Hussar. But he needs a response to all these musketeers. And so he thinks crossbowmen are the best choice. He is in Age 2, so he doesn't have access to the skirmisher. Yeah. So crossbowmen are, the option that he has available. Let's take a look at his cards. What has he done? Oh, and this is one other thing that I think is, something to keep an eye on. Is at this point, he is not using any of his shipments. Right? So, I mean, if nothing else, if you're sitting on 4 shipments, go ahead and throw some of these things down. Even something like the Pioneers card. It would give your villagers more hit points. Well, that might prove useful in a future fight, right? Or what about the hand cavalry attack increase? Give your Hussars some additional strength. Hussars have additional HP. You could be using both of those. And I think he forgot, which would be common for an Age of Empires 2 player, transitioning over into Age of Empires 3, right? So I know that's something I've done in the past. I try not to do that. I'm not doing that so much here. Looking at my own cards. Yes, I've sent both of the settler cards. I've sent a lot of these, early army cards in order to kind of get my snowball started. I sent this musketeer additional attack damage card, which is really nice. Of course, I am in the Fortress Age right now. No, I'm in the Industrial Age. I just teched up to Age 4, which is huge. A fight's breaking out. Now, crossbowmen do counter heavy infantry, so they do have that bonus against the musketeer. On the other hand, these are Age 2 crossbowmen fighting Age 3 musketeer, and I have more numbers. So I probably would win that fight anyway. But I am pulling back. And I'm pulling back because I have in the queue the unique British upgrade for my musketeers to turn them into redcoats. Which, yes, is a little bit funny because I'm in the blue color, not the red color. But they're getting upgraded into redcoats, which is going to be really awesome. And I've used my super strong economy to get out 4 mortars. Mortars are heavy artillery that absolutely wipe the floor with buildings. So, I've got the musketeers, I've got the mortars, and I recognize too, hey, he's massing up crossbows just in case. I should have some kind of response so that my, just in the event that my redcoats cannot handle the crossbowmen. Right, so I am sending a couple of Hussar to help me make sure that the job gets done. So I've got Hussar coming in. And then I would be sending an Age 4 the factory upgrades. Because the factories really do kickstart your economy, get them into overdrive. Here we go. These walls are, the town centers are right there by the wall, so they're not going to stop my mortars. He needs to come out and fight me. And that's hard because he's got regular Hussar from Age 2 against my Age 4 musketeers, right? He's got crossbowmen, which again are Age 2.
Yes.
Against my Age 2 Hussar. I've not invested heavily into Hussars. But it's still the right counter. Here we go. All right, Hussar go down. Easy. There's something going on here. I don't know if I'm not allowed to go through the enemy's gate even when it's open, or if this was glitching for some reason. But either way, the Hussar were stuck. But that's okay, because we have 37 redcoats versus 14 crossbowmen. Age 4 versus Age 2, this game is over. Yeah. And then here comes Hussar to help wipe up the crossbows. Yeah, he's pulling back, and that is the GG. So, this was a lot of fun. Some really straightforward, British gameplay. Taking advantage of those manor houses in order to get an early economy going, and then just booming off of that into a strong late game eco. Now, I don't know if this would necessarily... There are ways to go even more boomy. I could have thrown down a couple of town centers and just gone all in on the eco, but I think I did a good job of balancing a good economy with some early game pressure. Pushing back the early raids, and then putting the pressure on my opponent and turning that into a win. I think that was pretty solid. Galugi, for his part, I think did well. There were some things that I really liked from him. I loved his use of the native camps to try to put pressure on me early. Not only did I love it, I mirrored his use of the outpost in the middle of the map. I think that was really solid. I would have maybe positioned it north just a little bit to cover that trade post, but I love what he did there. And then I think he also just demonstrated some things that are common knowledge for an Age of Empires 2 player that you don't want to bring into Age of Empires 3. Things like, using those berries early on, or building the farms. The farms cost 400 wood out of the gate. That's a lot of wood that you could be putting into units or production buildings, right? So if you still have access to, herds, if possible, take advantage of the herds first. And collect the food that way. So yeah, just walling in. These sorts of things that you would definitely do in Age of Empires 2 that you shouldn't always do in Age of Empires 3. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the game. This was a lot of fun for me. I'm looking forward to sharing even more AoE 3 on the channel. So if you would, like the video, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. What do you want to see next? For now, this is the Iron Kaiser, signing out.